What's Happening is produced and presented by the volunteers at Tellico Village Broadcasting.
Welcome to What's Happening on Tellico Village Broadcasting. I'm Dick Bird. And what's happening today is a discussion about Loudoun County Habitat for Humanity, and our guest is Mark Kester. Mark and his wife Becky are involved with Habitat for Humanity in a very interesting way. Mark, can you tell us a little bit about that way and about how you got involved, you and Becky, or how you're going on this?
Sure. Well, it started out, I used to work for a very large company in New Jersey, and they had a very tight relationship with Habitat. They would allow us to take a day or two off of work every couple of months and help out. And I really had a good time doing it, but it was an isolated experience. So when I moved to Loudoun County after I retired in 2014, I looked for Habitat again. And this time I wanted to have a more active, ongoing relationship with them rather than just the occasional isolated day. And so I started with Habitat in 2014 and met some friends there, and also have encouraged people to join the effort as well.
Your decision to sponsor a house just wasn't by happenstance. Tell us how that evolved.
Well, as I said, I had a long-term relationship with Habitat when we moved here in 2014. And my dad passed away in 2015. He left a fair amount to charity. He designated part of it that we didn't have a choice on, but my sister and I, who were trustees of his estate, we had freedom for a large portion of money as well. And there were certain stipulations around it, especially being a trustee. You had to make sure you get it to a very good charity. And I couldn't think of a better charity than Habitat, with my previous relationship with them in New Jersey, and as well as the one I'd established here in Loudoun. And when I told my sister about my decision to sponsor a home, she liked it so much that she actually sponsored a home in Gainesville, Georgia, which was built and dedicated a few months ago.
All right, that's sponsoring, and that's wonderful. But you've gotten more involved. Tell me about that.
Well, I've been working with them on about a day or two a week for a long period of time. And it's been wonderful. I've engaged a lot of my friends and have encouraged them to do it, and they have. Our church, the community church, is actually doing a home, which I've been helping with as well.
Can you tell me about Habitat for Humanity Loudoun County accomplishing their goal and how that's going and how you're involved?
Doing extremely well. Since they've started, they've built 105 houses, which is very incredible. Also, there's two phases of what they do. Number one, they'll build homes. Number two is they'll also help the local community in rehabbing homes. So if you've got someone who's disabled, who needs, say, a ramp built, or if the home is not very energy efficient, they can actually go in there, and they've done that for 30 homes in the Loudoun County area. So it's been very effective.
Now, a couple of people can't do this. I understand it takes about 1,400 volunteer hours. Tell me a little bit about that and getting involved.
Well, there's basically three parts of every house that they do. Number one, it takes a sponsor like myself or like the community church to get engaged. Number two, they also reach out to the prospective homeowner. They've got to have equity involved in the home. So they're actually working side by side with the volunteers. You know, they've got a dog in the fight, if you will, for each home. And then it takes a group of volunteers. And really, to become a volunteer, all you need is a pulse and a willingness to help. There are two site managers, Jared and Mike, who actually live in Habitat homes. So they understand the value of them. And they are wonderful patients. They got the patience of Job. So like I said, all you need is a pulse and an ability to learn. They'll help. Also, there's regular people who volunteer on a basis who each have, specialized skills. They'll also help you as a volunteer. So you really don't need to have a specialized skill set. It's wonderful if you do. It's also wonderful if you don't.
I'll bet some friendships are made among the volunteers, aren't they?
Absolutely. I've met some wonderful people there who share that same willingness to get out there and volunteer. They want to volunteer on a local level. There's special days when you're building the house, like wall raising. We'll have a specialized theme. So what you can do there is invite your family, some friends, and the other volunteers, and you'll just absolutely have the best day ever. You'll be able to see tangible local work being done. And even at the end of the wall raising we had on May the 14th for my particular home, a couple of my friends came up to me later and said, hey, that was really cool. I'd like to get further involved with Habitat. So it really is a wonderful day. It's you're working side by side with the soon-to-be homeowners. You're helping them. You know, they've got equity in there. They're working with you, you know, and it's helping them sort of break that poverty cycle.
Are there other reasons that Habitat houses are needed?
Absolutely. If you think about what happened after the 2008 crisis, if you will, homes became very difficult to get. So that meant a lot of the folks were moving into rental properties, which has driven the price way up. So if you think about someone on the lower end of the income scale, they're forced to rent a house that is probably, or an apartment that's probably not very energy efficient. So they're paying an awful lot in rent, and they have very high utility bills as well. So what Habitat offers them is a way out of that. They can lower their monthly rent by putting an equity into their house by labor and taking a mortgage on it. Some of our sponsors give us products that make the home very, very, very energy efficient. And it's a focus when we're building these homes to make them very tight. So as a consequence, the recipients have a lower utility bills and a lower mortgage payment to help them lift themselves out of the poverty cycle.
How has this affected you and your wife, Becky, personally?
Well, we've been blessed. I was able to retire early. And it's wonderful for us because, I think if you receive a lot of resources, you have almost a obligation to give back. And, I was able to funnel some of my father's money here. He gave some, money to different charities, but they were, further away, so you're not able to see the tangible results. But, to work with the families, to work with these wonderful volunteers and see the house going up, it's just a special thing.
You've explained it fairly well, but assume for a moment that the viewer doesn't know anything about Habitat and you want to encourage them to get involved, maybe to volunteer. What would you tell them?
I tell them, number one, you can use the Teleco next door and post the thing up there because there are enough people here in Teleco that know a lot about the efforts behind Habitat for Humanity. The office is right over on Mialacqua, right behind Sloan's. The homes are only 10 to 15 minutes away from here. So you can go on the website, you can talk to me, you can go into the offices, post it up on Teleco next door. There's all good ways of finding out more about Habitat. The website is loudouncountyhabitat.org.
To sum up Habitat for Humanity, it's a hand up, not a hand out. In other words, the people who wind up paying for their homes actually work on them and make payments on them. And the volunteers who work on those homes wind up earning something too, don't they?
Yes, they do, absolutely. And in addition, the soon-to-be homeowners not only work on their own homes, but on other homes as well in the community. There's a certain number of hours that they have to put in as well, so they have the value in the hours they have to work on the house, and they also have a mortgage. So it's not a gift.
Thank you, Mark, for joining us.
Thank you, Dick. Appreciate it.
On behalf of Teleco Village Broadcasting, I'm Dick Bird. This is What's Happening. Watch us again soon.